Hello, folks. It's Saturday morning, 27th, 26th of October. Cheers. I'm here to recap my gig last night, but also to commemorate the passing of a great musician. First, cheers. Yeah, we lost a great one. He was 84, and so he lived a good life, long life. Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead passed away yesterday. Now, I'm not a Deadhead, but I am a music lover, and I recognize real talent, and I recognize important things in music. And the Grateful Dead are very important in the history of music, and they play a role in my personal life. Right quick, I was so jealous when I found out, even though I was just a child, that my dad saw the Grateful Dead early on. I saw the Grateful Dead in 1973, which I'll talk about. But my dad saw them even before then, and apparently got to hang out and get high with them. My dad was something else. He was the real deal. But when I got to see the Grateful Dead with my best friends at the time, I'm still, in high school, 1973. I still remember going down with Mark and Jim. Pretty sure it was Jim that was with us. We did mescaline for the show, and it was an event. It was a gathering. It was special. It was more than a concert, and this was back when concerts were the thing, when we didn't have so many distractions, when concerts were it. And here in the Midwest, when a rock concert happened, that was all that was happening. So I remember this specifically about the show is that when I went with my friends, we sat up in the seats, at first because we had dropped, and we wanted to be a little bit comfortable as we came on to our mescaline. Well, as the show started and as the music started, that just wasn't going to work for me. So I told my friends, I got to go down on the floor, which is where I always go when I can. I try to be as close to the band as possible. So sure enough, I went all the way up to front of the stage on Jerry Garcia's side. And this is not because I was high, it's because I remember it. I get up close to the front and I'm watching, and at one point I see Jerry grab a bottle of Mateus, that very recognizable bottles style, take a swig, and then pass it down to the audience. I tried to get up there and get a swig. I really did, but let me tell you, it was almost impossible. But I tried. I saw it was a magic moment. Now, what was even better is true Deadheads know what I'm talking about. The swirl. Back in their heyday and on their greatest nights, the Grateful Dead would create this experience referred to as the swirl, where the music and the energy of the band and the audience come together in such a way as it becomes one body, and it feels like the whole place is elevating, like taking off, like a spaceship. I'll never forget this. It was wonderful. And it was the music. It started to do this. It was amazing. One of the very unique experiences I've had in music, and Phil Lesh was a very important part of that. His bass playing was unique, very, very busy, very thoughtful, very melodic and inventive. I don't have the Sea Stones album anymore. I used to have the Sea Stones album. I regret selling it. I used to have a bunch of Grateful Dead out of respect, mainly because I don't like to listen to this music. for the most part. But I've kept this. This is, to me, this is an essential, okay? To me, this is an essential album in a music collection that about the history of rock music. Live Dead. This is essential. And I haven't played it in a while. I plan to play it today. Dark Star, okay? Dark Star. I'd also like to share that my older brother, the local Deadhead community, we were a part of it, and my older brother was real tight with those guys, the McFoster, Tom Foster, Mary McGranahan, and that whole contingent. They had a bus. My brother painted Mr. Natural on the side of the bus, perfectly. And they drove that bus all over the United States following the Grateful Dead. My brother went with them at least on one occasion. I knew these people, and I used to party with them when I was young, and they were hippies. And they had a house on this side street that was way overgrown, so we could party naked in the yard, and we did. People over at the Fosters were, heavily stoned, but not. It was cool. People were mostly. I think I missed some of the bad stuff, but people were mostly cool, just hanging out, getting high, being naked. If people wanted to make love, they'd go off to private, not fucking in front of everybody. Some weird shit. So I have tremendous respect for the Grateful Dead and Phil Lesh. I actually went to a second Grateful Dead show at Red Rocks in the 80s, early 80s. However, I didn't make it past the parking lot. I've told this story before. It's a wonderful, I heard the band. I went camping with two women to Colorado. Actually, it was two couples. But by the time we got to Colorado, the one guy who was flaky and not a friend of mine and was fucking one of the women, by the time we got there, that was over. So it was me and the two women camping. It was wonderful. But we were out there for several things. The Jack Kerouac Festival, yep. And the Grateful Dead played as part of that at Red Rocks. I don't know about the ladies. I got back to the campsite, so apparently we didn't get lost to each other, but I never made it into the concert. I didn't make it past the parking lot. We were able to, one of the women, I don't want to say her name, she had a connection to the Grateful Dead and had it for a long time. So we were able to get some of their supply in the parking lot, liquid mescaline or LSD, whatever it was. It was so fucking strong. But the parking lot, as you know, or if you don't know, the parking lot at Grateful Dead shows was a city. And there was so much going on, and I, got so blasted, I never even made it into the actual concert, although I heard the music. It was a wonderful experience. So rest in peace, Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead. Now, to share with you last night was awesome. Last night was awesome. I was the intermission music in between the auctions. This was at the Bemis Center for Art. Lovely site with several buildings, very expensive, several galleries. And so they have this auction every year. I've participated in the past where I've contributed my own artwork to the auction and sold. But they hired me to be the live music entertainment for the interims of the, as each gallery would close to bidding on the art. There'd be like 5 minutes till this gallery is closed, and that's when I would play. And so by the time I played my fourth 5-minute set, people were well oiled. Drinking, and it was a big party. It sold out. It was an auction, but it sold out. It was packed. So by the time I played my fourth set, I got people dancing. I mean, that wasn't the point, but it was like I played something off of a Future Still, and I played a new track, and I played Sunday Feel off of Interlude. So many people I haven't seen in a long time were there. I'm really happy to be part of the arts community in Omaha. I don't drink, so I don't hang out. That's a big part of why I don't go to events, because I don't drink and I don't like to be around the drinking. But it was wonderful. All the friends, associates that I ran into, people who I haven't seen for years. I mean, years. And it was good to see them. I really appreciate the regard and the respect that I get, not only from the Bemis, but in general from the arts community. Keith Roger, Bemis, the Bemis people watch. Thank you so much, Keith. Keith Roger is in charge of audiovisual and electronics down there, and probably a whole lot of other stuff. And so he was in charge, and all I had to do was play. I didn't even have to move. He moved my stuff. It was such a nice setup. Thank you so much, Keith. The other thing that was cool was they gave me a green room all to myself with drinks and everything. It was actually the executive director's office made it to a green room just for me. But what was nice is that Keith, at times, a couple times during the night when I would go back, when I was like, okay, I got to get away, he came back and hung out. I love it. As I've said, I am so aware that we do what we do because of us. People don't do what they do because of you. So I just really appreciate the love and respect that I get from other people, because that's them doing it. They're not doing it because I want them to. That's what they want to do. I love how Keith calls me the boss, and he's, calls me the boss. I really appreciate it. It was a wonderful night. And sure enough, as I hobnobbed with the different people and artists, several projects were thrown my way. See, I'm sitting here at home a lot because I want to. I could be real busy. Now, last night has me considering. There's two projects that were floated to me, which I'll probably take up. That will be paid. Again, I need money. I need the money. But I sit here by choice. I could be very busy. But as I was talking to a couple of folks, who won't mention any names, it was pretty clear that there was money involved in these projects, and they wanted my music specifically. So, okay, we'll get back to this. Had a wonderful time. I'm forgetting so many things to share. If you follow me on Facebook, there's a couple of pictures. It was really nice. So that's where I want to leave it at this Saturday morning. I just wanted to, commemorate the passing of Bill Lesh. He was a very good bass player, very creative. That's one thing that I will say about Grateful Dead records, the ones that I like. If nothing else, I just listen to what Bill Lesh is doing on the bass. In and out and around, up, down, on top of the music. He was really a rather phenomenal musician. Sorry I never got to meet them. I love meeting people. There were some celebrities there last night. I got to meet the comedian. I forgot his name. But he was in Nick Fackler's movie Sick Birds Die Easy. He has another reputation besides that. But I spotted him because of the movie, so I went up and talked to him for a bit. And there were some other celebrities. I don't know their names, I just know their faces. I think actors or something. It was fun. It really was. And they paid me very well. I really need the money. And that was the easiest. That was some easy. I mean, all I had to do was play. And at first I was just playing, but by the time I got to the third and fourth sets, I was performing because I can't help it. It's the music. And they got people dancing and taking my, that was the other thing that I noticed. It's like, I do selfies with people, but I noticed people taking my picture. People I don't know. I look and they're taking my picture, like I spotted someone, And I think part of that it was so wonderful. The art auction, anyone from Omaha or in the area who's been but know how they do it. They do it at big time. Lots of money, lots of food, lots of drinks. They have this one room gallery. It's a gallery, but it's a small auditorium inside of the Bemis where they show videos and films. And it was pointed out to me by my friend Jen, who was there. Hey, I just saw you in there. I said, what? And she pulled me into the viewing room where there's people watching, and they're playing back performances of different folks from Low End. So when I went in, they were showing Jamie Branch, but you said they were just showing you. I said, oh, okay. So that also kind of explained how I was getting this response from people I didn't know. Another observation that I want to share, it's just important to me. So as you know, the art world is one where it relies on philanthropy and rich people for the most part. And so when the auction started at 5:30, it went late. I stayed till about 10. The first hour of the auction was all the old white people. I don't mean this negatively. I'm just telling how it is. The people with money, the older folks who were definitely going to buy, there to drink and to take it in. That's how it started. But by the time we got to around 7:38 and the place filled in because it was sold out and everyone came, I was so pleased to see the diversity of people. All of a sudden it went from almost all white to completely mixed. I mean mixed. A lot of black people. I really feel proud of my part in the art community here by helping to open the door further to black people in the art community here in Omaha. I can tell stories. I've had to advocate for other artists, black artists, to be included. So as the night developed and all these black people I didn't know, some I did know, some really cool looking people, obviously some other artists. My friend Celeste, she was in the show. She didn't feel well, so she didn't stay long, but she was there. A lot of Indian people and Hispanic people. Wonderful. So that's the world that Trumpers are afraid of, the real world, where it's real people, not just hinky white people. I had a blast, and I'm glad to share it with you. I was so wrapped up in that yesterday that I only played 2 records. One I played, and this is just to die for. This is a Desert Island album. Desert Island, John McLaughlin, My Goals Beyond. This is ideal and very spiritual in a very real way. Very real. Piece 1 and Piece 2. Fantastic. I know I mentioned this the other day, but had to play this. This is my original copy. My original U.S. copy, as it were. This is just fantastic. The other thing that I listened to a little bit, and I switched it because vocal music, it's like I really have to be in the mood. But I listened to some Stockhausen yesterday. Microphony 1 and 2. One of these involves a lot of voices, and that was the one that was irritating. for choir, Hammond organ, microphone 2. It was irritating, okay? The thing about this work is that a lot of the times, not a lot of the times, but I know about Stockhausen is that he was very much about concepts and inventing situations. And so the work is not about making something pleasing for the ear, but about realizing an idea. And so the microphony 1 without the voices involved was more palatable. I won't say enjoyable. It was like, okay, I can get into this. The voices were really irritating me. But that lets me know that there's probably another time. Back in the 90s, I just remembered this. I think it was around 1992 because I looked it up actually the other day. There was a world premiere performance of a Karl-Heinz Stockhausen piece here. I almost forget the name. Of course, he's dead, but someone from his camp came to Omaha. They set it up in this auditorium, Strauss Performing Arts, where it was multi-dimensional. It was not quad. It was like, I don't know, they had speakers all over the place. And so it was very surround and surreal. And it was the first time it was being performed publicly. So I got to go to that. I appreciate that work. I understand it. I do. So let me stop here. Hope your weekend goes well. Heard some good news from my family out on the West Coast. Sean got a new job. So I hope it's a good weekend. And not looking forward to who we lose next because it's just the way of life. We're all headed towards the exit. Let me know how you're doing, folks. Have a good weekend.